Hello, hello,
Hello, good to
hello.
see you.
Hi, Scott. Nice to see you. How you guys doing?
We're doing really well. We're here in New York City and happy to talk to you.
Nice, nice. Well, thank you, and thank you for scaring the hell out of me one more time with the black phone. Uh, I have to confess something that while watching the movie, I was most scared of some of the kids in the movie, that the villain, that the grabber that is portrayed by Ethan Hawke, and it was very intense, right? Because I read that you, Scott, like, of course, the movie is inspired by a short story written by Joe Hill, but I read that it's also inspired by some of your childhood experiences. So it seems that mine was pretty good. I mean, if I compare it to yours, because it looks like complicated. Looks complicated. Can you talk about that, please?
Well, yeah, I mean, the kids are scary because they're dead. They're ghosts,
Oh
and
no, no, hold on. I'm not talking about the dead kids. I'm talking about the kids that were pretty much alive and fighting and beating the hell
oh
out of
yeah,
each
yeah,
other.
all that's very much drawn from my own childhood memory. I mean, the whole approach to the movie was I loved Joe's short story. I thought it was a great idea for a movie, primarily because it kind of blended a serial killer movie with a ghost story, which I'd never seen by itself. But it wasn't until I started to think about blending that story with my own life and memories growing up in North Denver in 1978. It was a working class neighborhood where there were a lot of bullies, there was a lot of fighting, we all bled a lot, and there was an air of danger from the Manson murders and Ted Bundy and
Yeah.
serial killers being in the air. But I think that the kids themselves, they feel realistic in this movie because almost every one of them is drawn directly from a specific kid that I can remember. Like I could point to each one of the kids in this movie and be like, "That this is what that kid's real name was and what he was like."
Yeah, that's something different from the short story, from the original story, and there's also like a Latino kid. That's interesting because I write for the Spanish section, so
Yeah.
the
Look,
one that
that that
inspired
that
by a
that
real
kid
teacher.
that kid is taken directly from my own memories in elementary and middle school. His last name was actually Ariano. Won't say what his first name was, but toughest kid in school. He there are lines in the movie that are verbatim what I remember him saying to me. The whole thing when he says, I was just going to wail on him a bit, but that wouldn't draw no blood. It's important to draw blood for the crowd. I remember him saying exactly that to me after watching him pulverize this kid in a fight
Oh
behind the
wow.
Safeway across from our school. And for whatever reason, he kind of took a liking to me and would look out for me a little bit. And, that made its way into a movie all these years later.
So did you get beaten up like often?
I was the smallest kid on a single block with 13 boys. So yeah, I got beat up all the time. I fought a lot. I tried to defend myself, but I was too little. I also ran a lot. I was fast, so I did get away often, but I also got caught more than I wanted to get caught.
So how was for you, Agent, when you were a kid? Because well, you live like in different places, right? So I don't know if like moving so much all the time. I mean, you're the new kid on the block and everything. How was for you? I mean, the experience of. I'm just asking because we're kind of the same generation, and then I'm trying to figure out how bad was in here with the bullying and everything, right, back then.
Well, one of the things, I mean, you're bringing back so many memories of being bullied and being. I remember I had this guy, Timmy, who lived down the street from me, who had a police baton clipped to his bike, and he would ride his bike to school, and we would walk, and he would try to hit you with this baton. So I mean, it was just every morning. It's like, I hope Timmy's going to school already. Oh shit, I'm.
Gonna get hit with
Yeah,
with the
I'd go
baton.
to school half an hour early so that Timmy wouldn't get me. But what I love about the movie and how it relates to all that is the movie at its essence is about these young kids learning to take responsibility for themselves and not to see themselves as victims, and how they free themselves from this culture around them that's not supporting them. And it's even true, I was thinking about it, about the kids who died, that they're victims, who become agents of healing.
That's what I love about
I find that really beautiful.
The Robin Arellano kid that we're talking about, the Mexican kid, because the neighborhood I grew up in was half white, half Mexican, and so I was really familiar with that culture, and my closest friend during that time was a kid named Wayne Garcia, and Robin. What I love about that character is he's the toughest kid in school, and he gets taken out by the grabber. And that's how dangerous the grabber is, that you just see them approaching each other, and then he's snuffed out. And so you're like, God, this grabber's really dangerous. Even Robin couldn't survive or escape. But then the fact that he comes back, and he comes back not only to help his friend, which is beautiful, but he comes back out of a sense of needing justice. He comes back angry. Comes back because he wants justice for what's happened to him and to the other kids. And I think that part of the satisfaction of the movie is something that you don't really get to see, which is active, sentient, consciously present spirits of the dead being able to be participants in the enacting of of getting justice for their own wrongful death. I think that's, on the one hand, the unfinished business of ghost stories have things like that, but in here, they're personalities that we care about. We care about Robin. We want Robin to get justice, and the movie allows for that to happen eventually, and I think that's part of the positivity and ultimately satisfaction of the film.
So, Ethan, talking about the grabber, you've been in a few horror movies before. You start late with horror. I know that you were kind of reluctant with the genre, but then you made like some pretty amazing movies, like Daybreaker, Sinister, that you made with Scott, and The Purge, of course. But you were always like a good or at least like a decent guy in those movies. Not this time. So this was something pretty challenging for you, I suppose. Not only portraying this very bad person, but then you have to use a mask almost all the time, and then you have to interact like with a kid, that got to be complicated. So can you talk about all these like challenges?
Sure, I'll talk about it all. I'll start with the last question. Was working with Mason is. It is intimidating to come to set and know that your job is to try to scare a young person. It's not something anybody wants to do, is to make young people uncomfortable. But what was so wonderful about the film is this young actor was so game and so in love with movies and so in love with the idea of getting to be in a movie and be a part of this whole thing that his joy is a little contagious. You feel his sense of gratitude for being a part of a film. And there is something, kids love to play, and that's what we do. We're storytellers, and the more deeply you get involved, immersed in the playing, the more fun it is. So I found his curiosity and joy on being on set wonderful to be near.
I thought it was really beautiful, too. On the last day of shooting, I remember when we kind of said our goodbyes after wrapping, I remember Ethan came to me and he just said, "And thank you for giving me such a good actor to work with." And he's like, "I really appreciated just being able to do all these scenes with such a good actor." Didn't say a good kid, good actor, because Mason's just a consummate pro, and
he really was.
Given his lack of experience, he's just such a talented actor.
And these kinds of, go on.
I'm sorry, no, keep.
These kinds of, a movie that's basically a coming-of-age drama in a horror genre, the movie will only be as good as he takes us.
Yeah.
If he's not great, the movie won't work. It just won't. And there's no amount of tap dancing around him that you can do. If he's got soul, if he's got passion, the movie will. So I'm really grateful to him for that.
So I hope you weren't like all the time in character, like a method actor. So,
well, one thing that was challenging is it was right in the heat of the pandemic, so we weren't encouraged to socialize the way we might have otherwise.
Yeah.
And I might have felt a strong instinct to let him, to be comfortable with him and make him feel safe, but I really wasn't able to do that.
It's like a forced kind of method thing, like involuntary method.
I think that was the impact that the pandemic had on everything about the movie. You know, it's the only time I've worked on a movie where people just didn't socialize, because it was kind of at the height of the pandemic. We all wore masks. You couldn't, first of all, you couldn't recognize who anyone was, you know, and everyone was social distancing. But the result of it was also that everyone did their job extra carefully. I felt like there was a focus on the actual duty of the job that was different than other films I've
really
worked
true.
on. Everyone brought their A game, and there was no wasted energy on anything social. It was just about doing the work well.
And we were so grateful to be back at work.
So basically, you have
yeah.
you have sometimes you just like have this mask that you were in the movie that is already very popular, and then take it off and put the other mask.
Yeah, exactly.
So how was with the? I mean, can you talk about the mask is already like extremely popular, as I say. It's a very interesting mask that it shows different part of your face and everything. But how was that? How was just like trying to act and then trying to express like what the character is? This is a very mysterious character. But try to give acting using.
I have nothing to compare it to. I've never done anything like it. I wasn't clear on how to best prepare myself for something because it was uncharted territory for me. I'd done a little bit of mask work when I was younger, studying acting and Greek drama, and there is a powerful element to masks, which are that it robs you of all the things. The feeling you have of your personality is gone because all the things you use to articulate your personality are robbed from you, and it simultaneously makes you feel very powerful and a little vulnerable at the same time, which doesn't really make sense, but it's how it feels. There's a sense of freedom to it because no one can see you. For the character, for me, I felt the first thing you think when somebody's wearing a mask is, what are they hiding? You know what are they hiding? And so that question was always in my mind. What is this person ashamed of themselves? Is this person intimidating? I found it kind of magical and strange, but I've just never done anything like it.
So how many masks did you guys have? Because obviously it's one in the movie, but you probably have like.
Well, no, there were a bunch of different ones. You know, they were all made differently, and they're made so beautifully.
I mean, the grabber as a character has 9 masks altogether because there's 3 full masks and each of them split in part. So for each mask, you can wear the top half, the bottom half, or both pieces. So altogether, that's 9 iterations of what you can wear. Mm-hmm. And the whole idea of developing that, you know, early on, that wasn't in the script. I just knew that once we had Ethan in the movie, 2 things mattered to me. One, I wanted to have an opportunity to see some of his face some of the time, but that got me excited about the idea of, an assembly of masks that give him, as a character, more choices to make of, I'm going to wear this particular piece because I want to be a little more vulnerable, you know, in encountering my victim. I'm going to wear this one because I want to be terrifying. I'm going to wear this one to express my anger, you know, and so each time that he wears a different iteration of the mask, it's an expression of something he's intending to do and an impression he's intending to make on his victim, on Finney. And I knew that Ethan would be able to take each one of those pieces and do something with them, you know, and I'll be honest, the kind of for me, the glorious joy of the whole production was I didn't give you a lot of direction. You know, I sort of gave you the script, gave you the lines, gave you the masks, and then what you did with them was all very unusual and strange and organic and felt really well while we were shooting it. But I didn't fully see the through line of what it was until we edited it together, and then I could see the grabber as a whole character, and it all made sense to me. And you know, it was all really wonderful.
Last short one. For Ethan, you've been recently in Moon Knight. You've been like in The Norman. I read somebody saying, "Oh, this is the resurgence of Ethan Hawke." But you've been working all the time. I mean, you sometimes you make like 4 movies a year. So, what do you feel about this? Like, is this a resurgence for you? I mean, at least you're not present in like more like, let's say, probably popular like films and TV series, but you're always been there, right?
I've been doing my thing for as long as I don't know how else to be other than I am. You know, there's a thing in an actor's life, you can go in and out of fashion, you can get better or worse opportunities. But I've just always tried to apply myself to being in the room with talented people. And what I love about working with Scott is he makes it easy to do your best work. You know, his work is all prepared. The movie is going to work. You are safe. And so inside that discipline, then there's immense freedom because you know exactly where the lines are and you don't get lost. But I've loved acting for as long as I've been alive, and I'm going to keep doing it wherever they'll let me do it. Ooh, the creepiest damn thing.